Yes, it is the face of Friday night. Peter Kivazo, Charles Romshana, David Punkol, Mary Goretti Nakabugo, and Richard Baguma.
Yes.
And you viewer, you can join the show. Yes, David.
Yeah, I think there are 3-4 things into the solution. Yesterday, at the Prime Minister's office, the discussion between UNATU and the government zeroed down. The teachers had done their research. They found that in the districts where they work, they discovered that the payroll of the districts was having ghost workers who are being paid, who do not exist, and they discovered up to about 200 billion. Now, that money, when the government went to check it, it found it was true, and they even agreed last year to pay 30 billion out of that saving.
I possibly have a teacher online. Hello? 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 Yes, you're there. Hello? Okay.
So I'm saying that from their own research, they confronted the government with a way out, where to get this money. And then they took to Minister of Finance officials yesterday. Listen,
David, is that sustainable?
By removing corruption, by removing corruption and removing leakage in our system, which is there, you'll be able to save that money and be able to pay the teachers and all these nurses very well. If you just control inflation, corruption alone. That's the point I'm making. And that can be done today. Because yesterday, when they said this money of 30 billion was paid to Moyo.
Yes, good evening. Yes, your name, question or comment?
This is the grant calling for. I really get some news to government that doesn't have money. Hey, how come the government says to get money? 1.5 billion in the pension scam, which is not yet investigated. You see the two contradicting sides coming from the CID. Look at the saga, and the government doesn't have money. When did the government increase the employee salary? And the people are asking for any
Thank you very much. Thank you.
People are hungry.
Yes, I can understand the rage. I can understand
because the other day
anger.
we were here about the other scam. Okay? And now there's another scam. And there will be another scam. And the system does not deal with that scam, these corruption things.
Of course, he is talking about corruption.
So the point,
how can you say you don't have money?
Yes.
When the
and that's why we cannot believe. That's why we cannot believe our government when they say they don't have money.
Okay.
It gets stolen either stroke government or something like that. Number two is that I think we need to come out with social solidarity for our teachers. I think the enough is enough, because it's now time for us to join in this strike, as parents, as foundation bodies, as civil society organizations, as well-wishers, including MPs, because these are your campaign managers.
David, don't I hear a politician that is running for a platform that has been donated to them by Yoweri?
Listen, Chief, he has created it himself. If he has urinated on his bed, let him sleep on it himself. Okay? And therefore, my third point.
And for you, this is a moment to
No, because you see, it's warped logic of President Museveni that if you pay teachers well, it will create inflation.
Won't it? Give me the economics of this.
All these years. For example, when teachers asked for 100% rise, he negotiated to 50%. Teachers settled down. Okay? And he said it would be faced in this manner. And it was lock and key. Now they have gone ahead to pay, just to refuse not to pay 10%. 10%. You just, something you have agreed
already. Look at
the
grand picture.
And now the teachers are saying, by the time we agreed with you, inflation was what? So the teachers yesterday were saying, okay, we don't mind, you pay us 5% for inflation. The second thing, when you pay us in 2016, 2017, you should pay us 15%. That's where the debate is now. Now, mine was to say, let teachers finally, let teachers join the struggle for change. Because Museveni in 2016 will still be, you will be voting for just more of the same.
Mary.
You will have more of the same.
Mary, let me hear your solutions to the current standoff, to actually our pain in the education system. Hello? Hello? Yes, you're on the face-off. Your call is through. Can you talk to us? Yes, good evening. Please talk to us.
This is Andrew from Marenga.
Yes, Andrew, go right ahead.
Yes, I just want to have a question to the child. Yeah, I think really, I think it's more of having a selective teacher. So thinking that the interest of the teachers is about maybe we should just the political issues. But I think we should look at the big aspect of political. We should look at economic, social, and we must know that teachers have a lot of impact on this country. We are not happy with the way the aspect in there is the issues of teachers.
Thank you.
I think I don't have a solution per se, but what I would advise is that the dialogue should continue, because I think the government, both the government and the teachers, should look at the plight of the children, because what we are talking about is the learning of our children. Yes, government is taking its time. The teachers are also bent on continuing the strike, but in the end, it's our children who are suffering. Then the other thing is...
If you were a teacher today,
Sorry?
if you were a teacher today, on Monday, would you go to class in a public school?
We need to negotiate with
Some headmasters and patriotic teachers are selling teachers out.
Yeah.
Because for them, they enjoy UP money which is not audited.
Would
So
you go back to
because-
class?
That is a difficult question to answer for me, but I think reaching an agreement is not going to be a one-way thing. It's going to be a two-way. So both UNATU and government have to come to an agreement that prioritizes the learning of our children.
In the meantime, status
And-
quo remains. According to you, until the agreement is reached.
That's the politician
Sorry?
pull call.
Until the agreement is reached, the status quo remains.
That's the politician
Continue
in pull
talking.
call.
The status quo remains, and then what about our children? Then the other thing that I'm seeing, actually, we are deserting our public schools. At the moment, and I think it's been running in the news, parents who can afford are not saying a word, but they're actually drawing their children away from public schools to private schools. That is not the answer.
Well, by the way, actually, it is interesting. There are several, the most sought after schools in this country, especially at secondary school level, are public schools or government-aided schools.
Let's now go back also to primary, because we also need the
It
foundation.
is at primary that all these guys have abdicated. None of them sends their children to universal education.
Let's
Foundation.
talk about the foundation. So the parents, it's not just enough to draw our children from public schools to private schools. Let us make the public school functional. And one of the way to make it functional is we need a motivated workforce. It may not be just salary alone, but a combination of stuff that Richard talked about needs to be considered.
Chaz,
Yeah.
very, very briefly, away from drawing the gun and rolling in mud, where are the other solutions?
You see, the peasant in the village has a movement called Batakakwezika. It's called we locals, let us bury ourselves. It's not about let us save our lives. It's let us bury ourselves. When they had let us save ourselves, they had the PTA.
They had Munno Mukavi.
PTA, I'm talking about now education, parents and teachers
Association. In partnership
Yes, and they would do a lot to facilitate the teacher.
together.
Where I grew up, I grew up, we would even build accommodation for the teacher. We build the church, we build where the reverend will stay, the priest will stay, and we also build the school and where. Most of the schools that are performing well, like in the place where I grew up in the West, are faith-founded schools. And faith-founded schools were largely from the community. But the peasant has given up. It's no longer about Bataka. And there is a lot of money with the peasants in the Batakakwezika movement. They bury themselves, they feed themselves during the burial. If the teacher was a mobilizer at a higher level, if we seize the power as teachers, we can generate revenue, we can generate resources, but the resources is not a problem. And President Museveni has the resources, only that he has different priorities. I will give an example. He has directed the Minister of Local Government, not the Electoral Commission, to put up new constituencies. Reason to take care of languages. You see, the Basaba will not listen to Bagwere, the Bachiga won't understand Nyankole, so put your constituency here, put here. And if you go to check on the expenditure, it's billions. He has around 3-4 layers of cabinet. By the way, even these on the NRM Secretariat, the Tedongos now, ETC, they are the level of cabinet ministers. So money for his priorities is available. But we don't, the society does not see a teacher as synonymous to the life and the future of the kid of that society. It's now no longer about Africa's socialism, it's about the individual. And the individual began with President Museveni and his team for to educate their children. By the way, initially they were in Buganda Road. You remember?
Kampala parents.
Buganda Road.
Before
Kampala parents. This was around those kind of schools. But later on the movement was, let's destroy these public institutions. Because you create a class to be ruled. You create a class to rule, and you create a class to be ruled. By the way, now you can't get a loan, money from this Apex CTC, Bonaba Kagawari monies, unless you have been taught by the Ruabogo group. You know, he has some organization that teaches business. Yes, you'll shake your head, but one day it will not like this in belief. These are realities. Kids in nursery schools will learn from the daughter. And the other one will handle military, for him he will handle culture. It's called Katondozi, the dictionary. All that is education. And Makera University will be collapsing as Mbarara University is on the rise. Then you have some villages with very good schools. You go and check in the national park that they took. There are very good schools there in Mbara. So you see, maybe if the things change, they are never constant. There is now a movement to plant trees. Please discard cows and burn and plant trees. There is money in trees. So there are movements. There is raising
but
of
that is good for our environment, isn't it?
No, but you see, you studied agriculture. Why were you studying agriculture in school? Did you put it in practice? Others did, others did not. So you find there is consciousness, but a raising of consciousness, deliberate from the, but a specific group of people, or specific groups of people. So there is a need for society to rise up.
So to you, the solution is in raising the consciousness of the citizenry.
Yeah, because the consciousness of you is about daffodils, is about building a kid who is going to look at to use Twitter, to use Facebook, to use these phones, music. It's about consumption. It's about luxurious consumption.
Richard.
We need consciousness about building resistance for survival.
Richard.
I think for me, you know,
I need to hear the solutions.
Yeah, because I'm giving you an example. Nkokonjeru, I come from Nkokonjeru. It's in Mbarara municipality.
Misspelled for Nkokonjeru.
Yeah. Now, in Nkokonjeru, there is now a primary school. That was what was a church school, what was supposed to be my nursery school. Now, the municipal government, which is our government, local government, was saying, you know, this school, you can't build it, it is not on the plan. We insisted, those retired parents of ours, that school is a UPE school. Those parents have insisted, the chair of the management committee is my father. They said, okay, let's see who will come to arrest us when we agree and contribute some money for our children's lunch. And they are doing it.
That's resistance.
I think, first of all, yes, absolutely.
In other districts, other DCs have been arresting parents for head teachers for collecting money to...
Chivazo. The school has 300 children. That's probably 600 parents. Arrest one and they walk to the RDC's office. I can swear to you, they will release that parent that day. I think we are allowing ourselves and getting excuses for ourselves. Where is the parent? You see, in our homes, who is the parent? It is the television. That's what Romshan was talking about. Why should my child intimidate me with that remote that they are running by cartoons. I think we should not allow to abdicate our responsibilities. Why? Yes. Why? Under society, why do we allow that somebody somewhere on remote is no? I think if we all decided that this is our priority, our children are our priority,
but you see, we should,
and we are going to contribute to
Mr.
that.
Baguma,
So the second thing
we should
for
have
me,
done with the teacher to
Yes.
raise this consciousness. If he's
no,
not
but
raising it, let him
but what are we doing
No.
as parents? Because it's my child who is suffering. That's what
No.
Dorothy was saying.
You not
Why
to-
should my child be out of school?
Is yours suffering?
Yes, because I'm paying school fees.
UNATU must
Yes,
get
and
lawyers.
you see, excuse me, no, Charles, don't interrupt me. The
no, but-
second thing, if Charles,
UNATU
if
should
you
have
are
lawyers
because
to
you see,
sue
you
these
know,
other
Yes,
people.
Richard is
No,
speaking.
you see, if you start asking me about my children, I will ask you about yours, and we don't want to be personal on television because we know where our children go. But you see, we must let's not abdicate
These other
our
people
roles
must be sued.
and hand it over to your Museveni. No, I think that is the first one. The second thing, I think we must tackle the foundational level of our teachers. That it is the least competent, that it is the least qualified, that it is those ones who failed that are entering that level of handling education, basic
Tell that to Aluko,
foundational
Jessica.
education. No, that is
Not
not
to
a
the
minister's
parent.
thing. It is you and me. And for me, this sitting here and abdicating
It's
that
policy, it's
responsibility, I think
policy.
is very irresponsible.
policy.
As parents, I have given you the example of Nkokwanjeru primary school, and they have resisted.
You are saying the
We can
parents
resist.
should take back their schools.
Absolutely, they can do that. And they have the power to do that. And there is no RDC who will arrest 600
Where
parents.
is the state?
In any case,
in which area?
Let me hear about the state.
Yes, and absolutely. You see, once we take back that power, we are the state. We are, what can they do? Imagine the president is coming to a rally, and the one thing that all of us are telling him is our children, our school, our teachers.
No, of
You
course,
know
the
him.
problem will be solved.
Absolutely.
But why should we
that's
beg?
what I'm saying. No,
No.
we are not begging.
No,
we are
no, no.
demanding.
Why should
because
we-
it's
but
our
we can
right.
correct
it. No.
We are not begging. We are demanding as
For-
our right. And that's
for
what I'm
me-
saying. We should not abdicate our responsibility.
Kibaso.
And so we ask Arupo.
Yes,
Kibaso,
yes.
what I hear from Baguma is that
Don't mishear me and don't miss
okay,
Yes,
now what is
yes,
what I
we
want
need
to
to
say
get out.
that
Yes, very briefly.
UNATU is a legal entity. It
True
can
it is.
sue and can be sued.
Then
It
Yes,
can
it is.
sue and can be sued.
Yeah, it's not
We
your
must get lawyers now to support them so that those RDCs, those DSOs who are intimidating our teachers, those headmasters when they are demanding for their, when the negotiation is still going on, must be sued
Let's organize
individually
and take
so that
State
they
House.
stop this thing.
No, let's organize and take State House. Because that's why the problem is. The other one is destroying the education
Lawyers
system.
should come in
is destroying
into
the
this
future of
trouble.
our
Viewers, we
children.
have
Take
to
State
get
House.
out of here.
Parents must come to
Always
this
a pleasure.
struggle.
Hey, you are going
Foundation
for
bodies must come into
what?
this
You are going
struggle.
for
Always a pleasure.
We'll go for State House.
Always a pleasure sitting in on a Friday night with the guys and having the views and ideas. I know certainly I'm a firm believer in citizen awareness. I'm a firm believer in citizen awareness, and I say, whether it is the police, whether it is the army, whether it is the electoral commission, if the citizenry in this country is not alert to the level that they can stamp their foot and the ground reverberates, you get nothing. Governments don't give. Governments yield to pressure and power. So if you stamp your foot and the ground reverberates, you will get what you want.
Police stay away from
Good
this
night.
strike. Police stay away from this.